Hello and welcome to Burning Questions as we head towards the conclusion of 2021 and towards the Vicbred Super Series finals. I really hate that name. I mentioned it on radio. Vicbred Super Series. It just doesn't cut it for me, unfortunately. Greg Sugars joins us. Can you take your Beats by Dre off for just a moment while we're doing Burning Questions, Gregory, or not?
Can't. I just have to stick with this look.
Is this your attempt to look like a real man? You look like you're on a construction site.
I've been on the tractor, doing a bit of slashing, preparing for fire season. Doing a damn good job of it, if I don't say so myself.
Oh, look at that. What a man he is. And Andy, you were making me laugh before we even got on here. It's unbelievable. Haven't seen you in a little while. How you been? How was Christmas?
Christmas was good, thanks. Good to have a little freshen up, for this episode anyway.
Well, I'm glad you have. Now I'm going to have to toggle a little bit between a couple of things to get the burning questions up. But I'll tell you what. Whether you're celebrating a win or shoveling in the stables, you want your staff to look their very best. You do that with uniforms from Hip Pocket Workwear and Safety. They have you covered for clothing, protective equipment, which Greg is wearing at the moment, and plenty more. Check out hippocketworkwear.com.au. Let's get stuck into the action. Are any of the sub-160 favourites vulnerable tonight? Now, it depends on which WSP you work with, but Spellbound, Ladies in Red, Honolulu Bay and Plymouth Chubb. Gregory, first to you. I'm assuming you're hoping a couple of them are vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's. I think it's certainly a couple of those mentioned that are obviously I'm going to be keenly contesting the races against. These horses are vulnerable. I think probably $1.60 or unders in these sorts of races when there's such good horses. It's got to be competitive racing is too short, really, especially because some of them, or a couple of them, probably haven't drawn ideally, even though they're classy horses and can probably overcome that on most occasions. For mine, if I was a punting sort of person, I would think that that's well unders for this sort of racing.
Now, what I want to know, a couple of questions. Margeeta, do you think she's going better than Spellbound?
Look, they're both very, very good horses, I think. Margeeta's taken probably a little bit of time, probably a few extra runs this campaign to get back to her best. But I think certainly she put the writing on the wall. Her last two starts, particularly last week's effort, that I think she is back to her best. And I think comparing the horses, pound for pound, I think Margeeta's probably a bit tougher. Spellbound maybe a bit faster. So they're two different types of mares, I think. The draws obviously hasn't helped me at all. But having said that, I think Spellbound's probably going to have to do a bit of work at some stage, which she's probably not 100% suited to. So not much between them either way. But I'm certainly going out there thinking I can turn the tables on her.
And will you be driving Jay okay aggressively? So I think the only way you can possibly... We know that Honolulu Bay, if he's got one little chink in his armour, taking him out of his comfort zone, as you swish away there, a large blowfly out there at Lara J Farm with your face, you just follow through, get on the scene as quickly as you can and say, we're not just going to let you run a half.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the only possible scenario to say we're a chance of beating him now that the draws have fallen this way. I mean, both horses are exceptionally talented individuals, and Honolulu Bay has probably been blessed at this time in that it's had very good runs and been able to run incredible sectionals home. So you would think he's going to get a pretty easy lead again, and obviously I'm going to have to do a bit of work to get up outside of him. But without talking to any of the connections yet, my gut feeling is I've got to do that as quick as possible and make it a war, basically, or make it a true staying test and see how tough he really is, because we know he's very fast, and he'll be capable of running 53 half or somewhere in that vicinity, and it's nearly mathematically impossible for anything to beat him under those circumstances. So if it's a genuinely run race, it probably opens it up a little bit.
Surely mathematically impossible is going to be branded by HRV at some point. Somebody's branded. Andy, sounds funny for a juvenile trotter. I'd say if there's one, I think nearly all of them are vulnerable, bar probably Plymouth Chubb, because he's done it so many times before.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's had so many things, races, bad draw, tough runs, and he's just been clear. I'm not sure who's capable of beating him. One that could probably have any hope of beating him is perhaps 7. And to be honest, he deserves a win. First start, rise into the challenge, but I agree with you. Generally, a 2-year-old trotty, fine, but all of them that are short.
I tell you what, I only got every third word there, Andy, but I read what you were saying. Like you parked in a different spot. You've gone to the Belangolo State Forest there to visit the grave of Ivan Milat, which is wonderful. But I got every third word. Skeeter, thoughts?
Hello. Look,
Hello.
If there was one that probably is, it could be Spellbound. Just given the quality horse that Margeeta is and how good she was last time out, and also the wide front row draw that Spellbound has to overcome. So if she has to do a little bit of work to find the top, it makes her a little bit vulnerable, I think. So out of the 4 horses that you mentioned, Bond, she was probably the one that wouldn't be diving into the short odds, but the others, yeah, they look really hard to beat.
Yeah, Spellbound. Well, I haven't even tipped Spellbound, so surely that makes her vulnerable. I can hear a couple of the boys going berserk over thoroughbreds in there. All right, question 2 of the burning questions, brought to you by the Fresh Connection, who export Australian fresh fruit to more than 35 countries. Good Lord. Headed up by Damien Glengarry, who is the export manager and does a magnificent job. The Fresh Connection specialise in citrus, table grapes and mangoes. Don't forget the cherries. freshconnection.com.au. Andy, will Stardust, Zeus and Vita lead or choose a softer option? I'm sorry to be doing these multi-pronged questions, but unfortunately with 12 Group 1s I have to. So we'll go through them one by one if you like.
Okay. I think Amora Vita be looking to hold up. Outer Baron Zeus be looking to hand up. And what was the third one?
Stardust?
Sorry?
Illawong Stardust?
Yeah, I think he'll be looking to hold the lead. Yeah, I think Outer Baron Zeus out of the 3 will be the only one looking to hand up, in my opinion.
And how does it affect all their chances? So can Illawong Stardust win either way?
Sorry?
Can Illawong Stardust win either way, lead or trail?
I think to beat I'm Ready Jet, it's got to park it. I'm not sure she's quite at her best. If she found the top, she'd be pretty hard to beat, but the way she's sort of going is going to be hard to park and win. So I think Illawong Stardust, it's had a few runs back now. Obviously had a Dominion campaign, be quite fit, and he'll utilise the draw. Of course, they give Gath a chance to run it off the track around the home turn if he's in front.
Outer Baron Zeus, can he lead and win, or does he need to trail to win?
Well, obviously, he's really stepped up this campaign, especially at the latter part of the season. I think he's got a lot stronger. 6 months ago, I reckon he'd definitely hand up. He's going better in front, but I still think they like him to follow a helmet. He sort of comes off speed really good and sprint really quick. So I think he's more likely to be handing up, in my opinion.
And can Amora Vita cop all the heat she's likely to cop and still win in front?
Well, she probably can. The only thing, if you hand up once, up again. So, Puppet's not one to really be handing up. He's not one to use the sprint lane either. So I think if she's quick enough to hold the lead, they'll be confident enough in her ability that she can get the job done by holding the lead.
Skeeter, Stardust, Zeus, Vita, lead, trail, can they win?
I think Stardust will be leading. You just have to take a look at the matriarch trot, and it was handlebars down. So I think Brian Gath will be trying to lead all the way and hold out I'm Ready Jet. She can win, but I'm not tipping her on top. I think I'm Ready Jet is just the class horse and she can still sit outside and win. But there is a world where she does win. Zeus, I have a different opinion to Andy. I think they'll be trying to hold the top on Zeus. I think Prugia and Artiste just going so well. They probably think their best chance would be to have him sit outside, and we know Zeus has got the good gate speed, so I tend to think they'll be trying to hold the lead with him. And Amora Vita, I agree, I think they will want to be in front, but I just have a slight query if she does have the gate speed to hold the front. Relentless Me gets out really quick, and there'll be others obviously pressing forward as well. So you've got the right driver aboard to try and get a More Vita out of the gate. But I just have a tiny slight query that she just may not have the natural gate speed to hold up.
I think they'll all be trying to lead. I don't know if it'll be great for any of them, particularly in More Vita. You had the stats on Anthony Butt, how many times he's handed up. How many times has Little B handed up in a Group 1 race? Andy?
Yeah, my history doesn't go back that far, so I'm not too sure, but generally likes to hold them.
Gregory, your thoughts on these three, whether you think they'll be trying to hold the lead, taking the softer option, and what it means for them?
I think all three will be trying to lead, to be honest. That'll be certainly plan A. And obviously all three have aggressive front-running drivers and are happy to. And I think the horses are good enough and capable to lead and still have winning chances. All depends on what happens after that, obviously, and how much pressure they cop and how fast the lead time and all that stuff, as we know. But I think looking at it on paper, I think that's certainly plan A for all three horses. They'll be out there trying to lead to win. Certainly, I think Aldebaran, Zeus and More Vita are definitely capable. Along Stardust, I'm just not 100% sold on it, whether it can lead and still win. But I think that having conceding the front basically concedes the race. I reckon they won't win by doing that. So that's what the way I'd look at it. I think that all three would definitely be trying to lead.
Question 3 of the Burning Questions is brought to you by Australian Pacing Gold, better known as APG. Gregory Sugary, in your beautiful rural background, you're not even driving this, which is another question entirely, but has Better Eclipse got the speed to lead? And would you, Jess, and the Love Bug even want to?
Well, certainly I won't be involved in any tactical conversations as it comes down to this race, driving one of the other dangers, obviously, in the race. But I'll leave that up to Jess and the Love Bug to sort that out for themselves. He is quite quick off the gate when he needs to be. But having said that, Kimball's explosive and has, a hell of a lot more practice at running the gate than what our fella does. So I don't think personally that even if he gets out as quick as what he can, he's quick enough to hold Kimball. And the way I sort of read the race after that, I'm not sure that we'd even want to risk burning Better Eclipse for the first few 100 metres just to potentially hold the front in a race like this. I think there's going to be too much heat on after that for him. So for my way of looking at it, I think Kimball does cross and then obviously most likely hands up to the first suitable one there, which on paper seems to be Bondi Lockdown. So that's the way I see it.
Are you as good a chance as winning his Bondi Lockdown with Beyond Delight?
With Beyond Delight, I think I am. Although he was beaten by Bondi Lockdown last start, I think I had to work from basically start to finish. It was solid lead time working forward, and then the last mile was just on from start to finish basically, where Bondi sort of had a relatively easy sit early and then was very powerful late, which we know he's certainly capable of doing. So I analysed the run afterwards. I thought, I don't know if many horses could have been in the exact same position Beyond Delight was last week and done any better than what he did. So, and taking into account that the horse has had a lot of stuff racing this time around, that I think he will improve from that good hard hit out. And talking to the camp a few days later, they were certainly of that impression too, that the horse would benefit from that tough run. So he's going to need to from the draw. There's no doubt about that. It's not in his favour, but anything can happen in Group 1 racing. And I think he's as good a horse as any in the field. So both my drives have got winning chances. But I've chosen the one that's drawn poorly. So hopefully I've chosen correctly.
He's beautifully branded, Greg Sugars. He's got the Summer of Glory jacket. He's got the ID21 cap and probably the Vic Cup underwear, you would imagine. Andy, newly hydrated. He's had a good sip of water there just to freshen himself up for this question. Well, we've heard from Greg. I don't think he's got the speed to lead regardless. Better Eclipse. Spoiler alert, Bondi Lockdown is going to be my best later on, kids. But I just think he'll find the front, and that's the end of the story. How do you read this race?
Yeah, he got a bit keen last week, Better Eclipse, and I think they'll probably be a little bit concerned if they actually have to chase him that he might over race. So I think it's the first time he's probably had a decent draw for a long time, and he'll run the gate quite good, well within himself. But I'm sure they won't get in a fight with Kimball, and they're probably resigned to the fact that he's got free fence. But the horse is airborne. He's been able to win race possible positions before, and probably going to be a good spot to be 3 fence with Better Eclipse. He's going well. Like you, I think Kimber will lead and hand up to Bondi. And yeah, there's always a fly in the ointment. You never know what happens early. So if it's a quick lead time and some other horses are trying to get the lead before Bondi Lockdown, it could be a fast lead time, which brings the back markers into the race a fair bit, but it want to be pretty solid.
I haven't left you with a hell of a lot here, Skeeter. I mean, I really haven't. You've got the crumbs on the bottom of the plate. What are you going to do with them? What are you going to make out of them?
Well, surprise, surprise, we've all got exactly the same speed map. I do think the better Eclipse. I went back and watched some of his earlier races, and I think he does have, there is some gate speed, as Greg alluded to as well, but he sort of just hasn't had the draws or the racing pattern to use it recently. So, but in saying that, Kimberley is extremely fast. We saw that in the semi-finals, and we've seen it for a long time now. His racing pattern is to show that terrific gate speed and then hand up. So I think that will be happening again. Bondi Lockdown looks the likely leader. But yeah, you can never rule better Eclipse out just how he's racing. He was fantastic last week, and yeah, he's really gone to another level, I think, since that Menangle trip.
Well, Greg thinks we've got lots of questions.
But he's actually improved since Jason Bonnington laughed at our old mate Wombat for suggesting he was a Derby horse. So he certainly he got inspired by that knock from Jason, I think.
Yeah, terrific stuff from you, Greg. And I love the use of the term Derby. Anyway, the last of our burning questions is with Wombat's thing. Anyway, the last of our burning questions is with thanks to Felbo Fruits, specialist in table grapes since the 1960s, would you believe? Michael and Josie Felbo are keeping the tradition going, and everyone loves their grapes. Keep an eye out for Felbo Fruits. You know you'll love them. Skeeter, I'll give you the full meal here. You get the Parma first. Which of cover rules and powder, will cop the pressure best? They're all drawn poorly in one of the early Group 1s on the program.
They are, Bon, and yeah, it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? Cover of Darkness, he could be the best of the lot of them, but just on his run last week, you just couldn't be backing him and trusting him that he would do everything right. So there's no doubt he's got X factor, but yeah, who knows what he will do, and if the big occasion, the big crowd will get to him. So yeah, I'm probably looking around him. Rules don't apply. He has made mistakes in 4 of his past 6 runs, but in saying that, the 2 wins that he's had when he's done everything right have been exceptional. So again, you've got to trust him, but when he is right, he's a really nice horse. He's only had 5 runs this year, so he's obviously had his injury issues, and the team have done a great job to get him in. So it would be great to see him win for Anthony Crosland. But ultimately, I'm going with Powder Keg, who's, I think, put together a really solid body of work recently. Obviously took out this race as a 2-year-old, so I'm sure it would give Lisa Miles great satisfaction to take it out again with him at 4. So I think he's been racing quality horses recently, and yeah, despite the bad draw, I think he could be the one that could do everything right this week and be too good.
Yeah, I reckon the punters have got this right. They've shortened up Powder King, now the favourite. He's just a bit more mature and more professional, I think. What are your thoughts, Hugo, boss?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Powder Keg's the safe bet. He's been racing in 3-4s, and he's taken a while to find his form. Rules don't apply. He's a little bit risky. There's no doubt he's got ability. And Cover of Darkness, like, honestly, last I don't know what he was doing. You know, he ran his last mile in 2-4, last half in 62. You know, I think AMAC's taken out an extra life insurance just to get around you know, that'd be the biggest spectacle, watching him do his warm-up, Cover of Darkness, make sure he doesn't kill out.
I think I should have extra life insurance.
It's going to be, you know, I'm with Powder Keg back line. I think Greg's got a little fluke and hope off the front line with Unknown Sun. If he could sort of slot in somewhere, had a cheap run, I think it's not without a winning chance. So, yeah, but all the main chances on the back line, but I'd be sticking with Powder Keg.
I like Roi du Soleil place here. I think it'll lead and control one of the big guns. Which one of these poorly drawn second row runners is most likely to handle the situation that they find themselves in, Candyman?
Yeah, agree with Skeet and Andy there. I think Powder Keg's got to be the number 1 pick. Lisa's done an amazing job with this horse in recent times. She sort of went through a period where he was obviously always had ability, but bit unreliable in himself, and you know, she made a real concerted effort just to teach the horse manners and get him racing more tractably. And you know, his figure form probably dropped off there a little bit for that very reason. But she's now being rewarded for those efforts, and for that reason, the hard yards that she's put in, I think she deserves to win a race like this. And the other two, they're obviously extremely talented horses, but they're too hit and miss to trust them in races like this, especially from bad barriers. Cover of Darkness, he's just brilliant when he's on song, but as Andy said, he was just, don't know what was going through his head last start, and rules don't apply. Same token, he was awesome himself last week, but very untrustworthy on many occasions. So look, obviously I'll be out there doing my best with Unknown Sun, but of those three winning chances, I think it would be great to see Lisa Miles get rewarded for her hard efforts and a great training effort that she's done with Powder Keg right throughout its career. The
only bit of bad news there, Greg, you said you agreed with Skeeter and Andy, but that means you also agree with me as well. All right, let's move forward. Best bet time. We'll start with you, Candyman. Who's the best on the card?
Oh, yeah, don't know. Haven't really got one. I'm bowing out. I hope Margeeta in the first. Gonna need a good way through, but she's very rarely let me down in these sorts of races before. So yeah, it's obviously a very, very tough night, but of my drives, I would I'd really like to see her get the three-peat.
Let's hope you drive more aggressively than you tip, Candyman. On Bondi Lockdown, I've already mentioned mine. Skeeter, who's your best on the program?
Yeah, look, it is tough with so many short price favourites, isn't it? But of the favourites that are over $2, I was saying Bondi Lockdown. I think I think it was about $2.30, which I thought looked a pretty good price for him, given it looks likely that he will find the top, and he's just really in the zone. And that one at a place price I didn't mind was So What in that first. I think she's just absolutely flying. She gets a good draw this week, and she'll be close enough. So around the $2.10 a place, I could entertain that one.
And he's got that pained, almost constipated look on his face when he's going to say Bondi Lockdown as well. You are, aren't you?
Oh, we've been a great team all year, and I can't. I'm going with Bondi Lockdown. Can't think of anything else. So I've got to be down here, so we're going to change it. So I'm sticking with Bondi Lockdown. I'll have one each way, just at odds. That's Sanguel. Thought it hit the line terrific last start. I think at 35 in an open race. I think it's got a good each way hope. But Bondi Lockdown, and hopefully three of us, or the whole four of us, get it right.
I thought the lead Calder runner Tipsy Turvy might be going pretty close in that race as well. It's been an amazing year. I can't believe how much Burning Questions has grown. I honestly think people don't watch the races. They just watch Burning Questions. They don't watch In the Gig, they don't watch Sky, they don't watch anything. They just watch Burning Questions. It's that popular right around the country. Huge thanks to you, Andy, in particular. You've been with us virtually every week throughout the course of the year. They call it the Andy Gath Show. You went through a massive heater at one period, and we want to get this one right, because it's been a little bit, for the best bets, we've sort of dropped off slightly, but we'll bounce back this week, won't we?
Yeah, no, definitely. Used to had the wood on me a couple of weeks ago, so that's why I joined you this week.
Appreciate you joining us, Gregory. You've also joined us on a number of occasions throughout the course of the year. Hopefully you have a great finish to 2021, particularly for me. There's one more quickly I want to ask you about, Bacardi Barmaid. Can it win?
Yeah, I give it a big hope. So I'm really hopeful that BGAF does kick through on Stardust and hold the front. But yeah, she hit the line super last start. Got a little bit lost going into the turn, but I reckon it was sort of half my fault as well. And having that experience sitting behind her, I think will do me the world of good for the final. And if Stardust holds the front and I'm on its back, definite winning chance.
You've made me happy, man, at least for now. And Skeeter, we've had lots of fun in various formats throughout the course of the year, but this has been the most fun.
Yeah, it really has been. I look forward to recording Burning Questions every week, and obviously a huge thanks to all the trainers and drivers that have joined us throughout the year as well, because they give up their time, and occasionally you're running a little bit late, and they need to just sit and wait for a little bit. So they're always really good with their time, and it's been so much fun.
Yeah, well, if they get to hang out with a celebrity, I guess everyone wins. Thanks for joining us on Burning Questions. Happy New Year to everyone, and enjoy the action. 12 Group 1s, Vicbred Super Series, not a Tabcorp Park, Melbourne.